Hey everybody, welcome to Friday, and this week I want to talk about something that happened last Friday. If you don't know, Shin Kamen Rider came out last Friday. And I still know next to nothing about this movie because I'm trying very hard not to spoil it for myself. But at the same time, I can't get on a plane and fly to Japan because I spent all the money I had making an anime. Now, I've heard a little bit about the movie. I've heard one review that said it's not a good movie if you're not a fan of Kamen Rider, so fuck you, I am. But then literally everyone who is a fan of Kamen Rider and who's seen this film is filled with an emotion somewhere between pure radiant joy and just absolute purest of pure happiness. Anyway, that being said, I have a few thoughts on the movie now, even though I haven't seen it. Warning ahead of time, are there going to be spoilers in this video? Can I spoil a movie I haven't seen? Well, potentially yes if I read some spoilers and spoiled them, but in this case, I don't know if I'm spoiling anything because I'm just reacting to everything I already know. So if I spoil anything, I don't know, and I guess I did by accident, so my bad. But actually, the final trailer was released yesterday, which is a tad more spoilery and insane than anything to come before it. And I will touch on that a teeny bit. By the way, I've watched that final trailer like 50 times already. It is so exotic and crazy. I've asked around, and apparently I'm not the only one in my friend group who's done this. Like, it's just such a crazy fucking trailer. Anyway, so yeah, if you guys haven't figured it out, I'm super hyped about Shin Kamen Rider. Now, this is the second time we've gotten a Batman Begins type Kamen Rider reboot. And I say it that way because the previous reboot of Kamen Rider the First, was literally a reaction of Japan trying to capture the magic that Batman Begins worked out with. I'll probably do a full review of Kamen Rider the First one of these days, but I'm not ready to depress myself with that again. In short, the first was a massive failure in my eyes because I don't think it really captured the spirit of Kamen Rider. And if I'm being really mean, I would argue it was barely even a competent film in its own right. However, it shines in comparison to its dogshit sequel, Kamen Rider the Next, which, while doing the right thing and going straight into Kamen Rider V3, which is very cool shit, that movie was even less about Kamen Rider, with a rogue horror movie director essentially making a stupid haunted house movie where a bunch of pop stars died, and then 3 Kamen Riders showed up at the end to kick people really hard. Now, before I get into dissecting the new Kamen Rider trailer, though, there's one other really funny piece of media that came out this week that I want to mention. In probably the most hilarious Japanese food pop culture crossover since the Char's Custom McDonald's Cheeseburger, which I've also already done a review of, Mos-Burger, the #1 independent hamburger franchise restaurant in Japan, has seemingly been co-opted and merged with Shocker, resulting in the abomination known as Mos-Shocker. Now, I'm laughing at this, and I'm laughing at this because this is a super deep cut reference to the last season of original 1970s Kamen Rider, when Shocker was beaten so badly that they had to fuse with the African terrorist cell Geldam to form Gel-Shocker. But yeah, now we have Mos-Shocker. Now, this is some tantalizing bullshit, and honestly, even though I know it's just like a funny, quirky commercial with like a coordinated dance group dressed in Shocker uniforms, part of me thinks that this could be a tantalizing taste of what Shin Kamen Rider could end up being, except with hamburgers. So yeah, we have these brand new looking and yet retro fantastic 1970s Shocker hipster gangster soldiers. They have been updated to have these like creepy Foot Clan 3D printed face masks, I guess to replace the old corny luchador mask that Shocker used to be famous for rocking. And then they proceed to very organizedly conquer this Mos-Burger in a style that gives me a weird subconscious vibe of like, remember when Jack Nicholson wrecked up the art museum in Batman 1989? I'm not saying you should remix this commercial with 1980s Batman music, but if you ask me to do it, I'll think about doing it. Now, I gotta say, if this is my first taste of what Shin Kamen Rider could actually be, from this weird hamburger commercial, and also from the final trailer, here's my best guess at what Shin Kamen Rider is going to be. Shin Godzilla was a reimagining of Godzilla the anti-Godzilla G-Force group, and an allegory for the 2011 Dai Tohoku tsunami and Fukushima nuclear crisis. Very, very good movie. Then Shin Ultraman after that was a reimagining of Ultraman and the SSSP group that defend Japan, and it was seemingly either an allegory for religion or superheroes or the position of Japan in the global economy, I guess? Now, look, if I'm going to just be spitballing what I think Kamen Rider will be based on this pattern, and if I'm going to be real, if Hideki Anno does not use every single idea I'm predicting in this video, one day before I die, I'll make my own Shin Kamen Rider addressing all of this shit. But anyway, so the original Kamen Rider is really only about two things. Takeshi Hongo, a man who had his life stolen from him, he was turned into an insect, he turned into Kamen Rider, and now he vows revenge. And then there is the sacred hegemony of the Third Reich, or whatever they were called. Shocker, right? Well, Kamen Rider the First, I think, had an inappropriate focus on Shocker because it didn't really understand what Kamen Rider was. If I had to put a bet on what Shin Kamen Rider is going to be based on, just based on the advertising, just based on the clues that I've been given, I think what we're going to get a good deal of is that classic pure Shocker goodness. But what has me really psyched is I know that we're going to get a new Shin Shocker. And while Shin G-Force and the Shin SSP were simply offices inside the Japanese government, Shin Shocker, I think, is going to be something completely off the wall. I'm really hoping that Shin Shocker will not abandon its roots as a Japanese neo-Nazi organization, because I think society has really started to forget the lessons of World War II, and the idea that Hitler might not have died is just kind of echoing through modern society right now, as his ideas and plans seem to be suddenly playing out and manifesting in the modern age before our eyes. So yeah, I'm hoping Shocker doesn't abandon its Nazi roots, and the fact that they still have the Nazi eagle suggests that they probably won't, although it's interesting that they've also added the eye, because the eye both suggests the leader of Shocker, and it's just a cool Illuminati eye. But yeah, based on the materials, I'm going to guess that Shin Shocker is going to tackle one of the biggest problems in Asia right now, and that is conformity culture. Conformity culture is a culture that makes Asians kind of group together. It makes them hate outsiders. It makes them consider certain people to be abnormal, and it leads to a lot of ostracization. And yeah, that makes perfect sense for a Kamen Rider movie, because Kamen Rider is the ultimate outsider, and that makes sense that if Kamen Rider is outside of modern society, then he would also be outside of conformity culture. Now, the problem with Asian conformity culture is that it's kind of bred two deeply different and dramatically dangerous problems in modern society. Problem number one is that conformity culture is so obsessed with uniformity that it's made plastic surgery pretty much the norm in Asia. And the use of this surgery isn't even to make people more beautiful or to make them look like celebrities. It's to make them look more average, to make them look more the same. Hence, the common nickname for the standard plastic surgery in Asia is Asian facial conformity surgery. And for the record, I've even met people in Asia, but who lived there so long, and one horrible day, someone talked them into going through Asian facial conformity surgery when they weren't Asian, and they just look really weird. Another aspect of the conformity culture is religion, or maybe more specifically cults. Now, I think it's been clearly stated that Shin Shocker is going to be a parody of the Happy Science cult religion, a ridiculous Japanese Scientology knockoff that preaches a 50,000 year intergalactic war with an empire and an emperor and weird MCU-like ties to aliens and gods. And at the same time, if I had to put a finger on the number one thing that has been disrupting society in Asia, it's gotta be cults. The Aum Shinrikyo cult in the 1990s caused the worst modern terrorist incident in a century, and as recently as this past year, Shinzo Abe, the former Prime Minister of Japan, was assassinated by a man whose family had been radicalized by a cult and who had lost all hope. So, just guessing, if Shin-Shocker is a marriage of both of these ideas together, a cult and a religion that has the resources to surgically alter all of its members, that's absolutely terrifying, and it's only one step divorced from reality. And if they've still got the neo-Nazi background, that could easily tie in to Hitler's long-dormant dream of racial purity and world domination. Now look, I was going to end the video here, but I do need to talk about the final Shin Kamen Rider trailer, because there's one last glimmering morsel that came out of that final trailer that is so insane, I have to address the potential implications of it immediately, because it's just blown my mind. So, if you guys haven't been paying attention, Shin Kamen Rider is the fourth in what is the quote-unquote Shin Japanese Hero cinematic universe, consisting of Shin Godzilla, Shin Ultraman, Shin Kamen Rider, and maybe not Shin Evangelion, based on whether you consider Shin Evangelion to be a real thing or a cartoon or whatever it is. Now, the idea of these Shin movies is that they're basically a brand new Japanese rival to the MCU. And one thing in this new trailer has blown my mind because it shows that Japan did finally learn a lesson from the MCU. The most MCU looking shit I've ever seen is in this trailer, and that is that in Shin Kamen Rider, a supporting character in this movie is apparently Robot Detective K, who, based on what I'm guessing for the trailer, seems to be looking into Shocker and doing his own investigation. Now, this is fucking huge. This is a really, really big deal to me. K is only in 2 shots in the trailer, but if this is Robot Detective K, if this is not just a brand new character who looks exactly like Robot Detective K, some kind of weird fan servicey thing, which they have done before. Like, for example, like there was like once a bad guy in a movie that looked exactly like Kikaida. So it could be something like that. But this is just pure madness. This is so crazy that I might have to do a second video just about this. But the fact K is in this movie is a game changer. For those of you who have never seen Robot Detective K, Robot Detective K is a unsung hero, a minor tokusatsu hero from the 70s. Not as popular as Kamen Rider, not as popular as Ultraman, but like Kamen Rider, he started out as a Toshinomori Shotaro manga, and then he had a live-action TV show where he became an absolute legend. Also, if you were one of like the 6 people in history who ever played Street Fighter 3, Robot Detective K was in Street Fighter 3. Now, I've read K's manga all the way through. I've never seen the whole TV show. The manga is just weird. Very weird. It dealt with gender in ways I was not expecting it to. And the ending is a mindfuck. I might have to review the manga some other time in the future because the manga is just so artistic and so uniquely weird. But yeah, if K is here and the Shin Japanese Hero cinematic universe is going to continue to be a thing, then guys, Shin Kamen Rider cannot be the end of it. It's just the end of Phase 1, and that raises a massive question. What the fuck is Phase 2 of the Shin Japanese Hero cinematic universe going to be? So once again, Robot Detective K. Why is he here? Is he just here to be like Nick Fury in Iron Man 1? To link all these movies together to eventually have like a superhero crossover war? Maybe he's just here to open the door to the other 1970s Shotaro Shinomori properties? Or maybe it's just a straight up reveal that Hideki Anno's next movie is going to be Shin Robot Detective K. But otherwise, like the entire Ishinomori verse is on the table right now. So Shin Go Ranger could happen, Shin Kikaider, Shin Inazuman, Shin Kaitetsu Zubat. Like, holy shit, you guys. Next year we could be watching Shin Akumizer 3 at this rate. Alright, well that's everything I'm like freaked out about right now. So, someday Kamen Rider will defeat Shocker. And I hope to be there when it happens. Later, guys.